around this room like a bull in a tea shop. I'm rattling around this cage like a cook against 3 cops. I'm angry about this buzzing in my ears. I'm pissed with this misloving of my ears. I'm angry about this banging in my head. I ignored the memo and then I pushed it into red instead. And now I don't know who you blame. Why do you think that this is so full of acronyms? And
I think Americans are good to blame for everything.
Yes.
Like just as a general go-to.
That is a good point. But I was having a conversation with someone the other night. Why do people speak like absolute idiots at work? Because all of a sudden, like as soon as you step into work mode, all of a sudden you start saying, circle back and move forward and hard stop.
Touch base.
Deep dive. What? I don't know why we do this, but I think it's because there's a couple of theories I've got, right? One is because you're just totally out of your depth and you've got no idea what you're doing.
Yes.
And so you use these terms to give this kind of false impression that you are an expert in something when really you're just kind of drowning. That's one theory.
Yes.
I think the other...
Can I expand on that?
Sure.
Which is, I think everyone at heart is still their 14-year-old self. And they're just pretending, dressing up in a business suit and using the language is the same thing as dressing up a business suit.
Which is kind of like my second theory, which is that you're just joining a cult, right? And so when you join a cult, you just pick up the language of the cult around you.
Yes.
And so after a while, like you might start out day one, if you're in your first job in the working world, you might start out talking normally.
Yes.
But within about 3 or 4 days, you realize that you're the weirdo.
Yeah, you're the weirdo.
So you have to start saying, deep dive and solution-led focused outcomes.
Yes.
Otherwise, you just won't fit in. So does that answer your question?
yeah, do you think our parents' generations did this?
That's a great question. I don't think so. I don't feel that they did.
I think it was McKinsey's. What done it?
Americans.
Americans, yeah. I think it was that.
But McKinsey's is the consulting group. The sort of going to study there became a sort of thing.
Yeah, because and there was a few others, Boston Consulting Group, all those people, they made a business out of charging incredible amounts of money for very little knowledge or wisdom, right? Like it was literally the ultimate it was Emperor's New Clothes style thing. So actually bringing in a whole bunch of buzzwords and language as the sort of value add became necessary, because otherwise if you stripped away all the acronyms, you'd realise, there's nothing there. The Emperor's got no clothes.
You're just saying the same old shit.
Yeah.
It's an interesting example. Have a nice day. I remember watching something on years ago that the Americans just worked out if you said at the end of giving someone a McDonald's meal, have a nice day, you sold slightly more McDonald's, basically.
Yeah, right. Yes.
And then that gets translated into Scunthorpe, or the Australian equivalent of just a bizarre experience.
Well, I mean, in McDonald's in Australia, after got your hamburger, they say "fuck off," right, and it increases sales. Yeah.
Fuck off, eat
Fuck
it.
off. Yeah.
No, but I think that is the element. Is American culture is one that's driven completely around commercialism. The god of money, and anything you got to do. So I guess people found that if they used these words, they seemed a bit more intelligent, became a bit more successful.
But also, if you're McKinsey's and your only solution, because you don't know anything about the business you're going into, and your only solution is to pay your workers less, right? Like, we need to reduce the wage bill, right? If you dress it up and say we need to drive synergies to create more efficiencies within the labour force working unit or whatever, moving forward, then suddenly, like, getting a £14,000 bill for that that makes sense. But if you just handed somebody a piece of paper saying cut your wages, like you can't charge £14,000 for that. You probably can't charge 14 pence for that.
Yeah. But I've got another theory, right, which I think ties in more to the British culture and the Australian culture, which is, and less so to the American culture, which is we're very bad at talking directly. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're very bad at just saying.
Australians, certainly the Brits are.
British are worse than Australians.
British are terrible.
British are terrible, but Australians are pretty bad as well.
British start every sentence with sorry.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But I think Australia's got a bit of that as well, certainly more than America. And I think so all of this language is just a way to not just say something direct to someone, particularly in emails. I mean, emails are like a case study in how to be passive aggressive. And there's a whole lot of language that we use to avoid just saying the obvious thing like, can you please just do your work? We'll say all sorts of other things. to get around that.
Do you remember when emails launched? I don't know about you, but I remember everyone falling out with each other in the early 2000s when my friends got hold of emails. Everyone started writing to each other what they actually thought. They were like, here it is.
You're right.
Do you remember
yes,
it?
I do remember that.
And everyone was like writing these fucking essays
Yes,
about
flame.
and the other thing is that you've always annoyed me.
Yes.
And then they would fall out like massively, you know.
Yes, yeah, you'd write an email in anger.
In anger.
And you now know never
never
to
do
write
that.
an email in anger.
Because, and you know, my old man, he's still in the
so
business,
true.
would write a letter and he'd say, you'd sit on the letter and it'd go to your secretary and it'd
Yes.
come back and you'd read it back a day later because that's how
Yes.
long it would take. And you go, bloody hell, I need to calm that down. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And by
yeah.
the end, and they didn't know when you would reply, so you're not under pressure.
Yes.
Emails became passive aggressive is very true. There's a lot of passive aggressive, and then you'd pick up on something saying,
Yes. And
"I didn't
another thing.
I don't like the way they signed off. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, emails basically only have they took a while for us to not fuck up, basically.
I remember being sent a 7-page email. This would have been in like 2002, or maybe 2003, by my then boss. And it was just horrific. Like it went through our entire team telling everyone how
And Tony!
how mediocre we were, basically. Probably true, actually, looking back. But I remember, like, then became a worker solidarity thing where we all went to the pub and we'd printed out the email and we all read it out and laughed at it as a way to sort of deal with this
I guess
controlling boss.
the second thing is we saw it as a verbal communication tool, didn't we? We
Yes.
write what we would say. We hadn't quite got our head around the sort of, you know, and the moment you have something in writing, it's like, oh my God, it's so like, you know, so much more powerful than someone saying you're an idiot.
And the other thing from that era, just remembering, because I was quite young back then and I had a job as a sort of receptionist thing for a while while I was at uni, and this is in the 1990s, an email had just come in and my job was to print out all her emails and put them on her desk, and then she'd handwrite the responses, and then I had to go into her email and write that was how she did email every day.
Wow.
Well, when I joined this business in 2000, we had one guy with email, and he would print them out each day.
Right, yeah.
and hand them around the office, sort of thing. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, jargon is everywhere. It's in different industries too, and you could take whether it be the banking industry or the music industry, and they say they build that jargon out almost to keep people out. I mean. Do you think that's right? Do you think, you know, this is a defensive thing rather than a way of people communicating better within a specific area?
I think it goes back to that cult thing, you know. It's like people, I think they create their own language that makes them feel part of something special, but don't realize that in doing that, they kind of sound like wankers.
Yeah.
Is your aim to get rid of all this bullshit language?
No, because then we'd be out of a job.
We'd be out of a
And I
job,
think,
But no, in fact, the whole aim is to help people be more of a wanker at work.
because we've realized that we just put our hands up and go, there's no getting out of this.
Yeah.
Like we could have gone in and gone, we're going to solve this problem. We're going to help people, you know, talk more clearly. But then we realized
or TMC, as we
talk
like
more
to call
clearly,
it. Yeah,
TMC.
talk more-
But that's never going to work.
It's never going to
just
happen.
not gonna,
No.
so
That's
the
like,
only thing you can do.
Let's get rid of the sun would be an easier task.
The only thing you can do is just give up and just surrender. Embrace it. Exactly
Yes.
right. Embrace it. And so our job is to teach people how to get better at it. And that's what we do. And that's been a very successful business model for us.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think we'll ever run out
No.
of people who need to get better at this.
Yeah, there's infinite demand
Yes.
for becoming more of a wanker.
It would be lovely as you go through this journey, sort of nice case studies, wouldn't it? You know, James and Charles, I was only this
yes.
level.
Yes.
Now I'm this level wanker.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, you know, there's a phrase I was taught years ago by this client who had this guy who was just in charge. He was just such an arsehole. But then the people below were kind of in charge. And then one of them sort of quietly said to me in the pub, kind of, you never heard that it's shit that rises to the top, not cream.
Yeah,
You know, and actually there's a lot of truth of that. In big corporates, you get this problem that this guy's a fucking arsehole.
Yeah.
Promote him.
Yes, get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
Get him up to the top. Get him in the boardroom with the team
yeah.
where they're
Yes.
not doing anything,
Yes.
you know. And I have an
Yes.
Aussie client who I still laugh about because it's very Aussie, who they got this guy here who's set up their UK. He's caused so many problems and stuff. And then I'm like, why'd you put up with this guy? And he's like, well, why do you think we sent him to England? You know, he's really
right.
good at this, but we just had to get rid of him. And our plan is we're just going to keep sending him places.
Yes.
And I was like, and where's he going next? He's like, we're sending him to America. And I was like,
It's gonna
why are you
take
sending
over.
him to America?
And that's the story of Donald Trump.
I think they said after that they might send him to South America, at which point he just sort of disappeared.
But no, I think that's it also explains why there's a sort of structural problem with women rising to the very top, because women tend to be more competent than men, right?
At everything.
And so there's no incentive to promote them out of your own workplace. And so structurally, what we need is more mediocre women and sort of awful women.
Yeah.
And then only true equality will happen when we've got a C-suite full of horrible, incompetent women.
And I get more authority at home. I feel it's forgotten about the lack of equality in the home. I know
Yes.
very few men in charge at home, but people get upset when you say that. But I actually think adding women to the workplace is a fascinating thing that's happened. An old friend of mine's dad who was like, head of Black & Decker and stuff like that. I remember him talking before he passed and saying, it was sort of easier when it was all men. He said, we'd all go in the room, we'd have a big old argument. He said, we'd be shouting at each other, be like, and then we go to the pub and have a drink and we'd sorted it out. And suddenly you enter sort of, because I've got two sisters in the business. I did one pass, but they would start crying at me. Like, I'd just be like talking to them, but not realizing I was pointing or something, or I'm just making my point. And then one of them would be like, don't talk to me, and I'd be like, what the hell just happened? So I think the adding women to the workplace is fascinating because I think they are more competent at just about everything we do. So
basically what we're saying
more.
is that they've brought emotions and competency into the workforce, and in doing so have fucked it up. Is that what we're saying?
Well, maybe that the men need more. We need more acronyms. We need more
to protect ourselves from these wily women.
Because a lot of the stuff, a lot of the language, the circling back, is you haven't done anything, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't done what I was supposed to do.
Most language is just a cycle of nothingness, circling back and touching base and moving forward. They're all words that just mean just pushing it further along, without actually doing anything.
I found it curious that you were saying that you think Australians aren't direct. British people are incredibly indirect. And someone asked me how to be, they were saying, what's the best advice to be a good salesperson in Britain? I really had to think about it. I was like, but there was a guy I know from Melbourne called Noel Duncan, pick up Noel, who's incredibly polite. He's obviously got a British blood or something. He was brilliant here, but he would start everything of, if you ring someone, so sorry, I didn't mean to disturb. If I'm disturbing you, I'll come at another time. I really didn't. No, it's okay. The moment you give us the negatives, we start going towards it, So to sell here, you've got to be just kill us with kindness and politeness and apologies. And we'll be like, no, honestly, Charles, what are you selling? Let me buy it. You must be about to commit suicide. But I don't fight Aussies. To me, that's the main cultural difference. You guys get to the point.
I think in a relative sense, yes. I think that's certainly the stereotype. British people certainly are much more indirect. But I think Australians are...
Can you talk about money?
That's a really good point. I worked in the UK for a while, and I remember sitting in meetings, and whenever money came up, everyone would just go really silly. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's talk about the thing we can't talk about, and all of a sudden you'd go back to different school. Oh, that's such a good point. I totally forgot that. People would go very, very silly. So yes, Australians can talk about money.
Yeah. We can't handle it if you start talking about money.
Really?
No.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you can have a 2-hour meeting. One of the things you want to know is how much it costs, and you'll get to the end, and it's all like, can we have sex? It's like some awkward flirting.
Yes.
Well, obviously, you can do this afterwards in an email, and I wouldn't want to put you on a spot or anything like that. But perhaps at some point you're going to tell us what it fucking costs.
How infuriating!
Yes.
Yeah. How did you conquer the world?
Because of that approach, I think we sort of turn up, we keep apologizing to everyone, and before you know it, we've got your stuff.
So sorry to take over your country.
Are you using that? Just for a moment.
I'll borrow it. We can talk about the price later.
The truth is, we took over the world with the Navy that we were very good at funding with a bank. No, that's another difference with Australia. Yeah. You haven't pissed everyone off yet. You haven't invaded enough people. I was thinking about this the other day when I was traveling with an Australian. Everyone loves Australians. In Britain, they're like, oh, right, you guys, you're going to try and steal
kind of
something.
did the invading on our behalf, I guess, because the invasions that we did, we can just kind of pass it off as British. So
we had no need for invasions.
You've got quite a lot of land.
Well, no, but also everywhere we've got enough cricket teams to beat around the world. I think the main reason why we would want to invade other countries is to make them play cricket against us, right? Isn't that?
Well, that was certainly one of our philosophies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But that's already happened. I don't see another reason. Because we've got enough land, we've got enough food.
It would be a hilarious lens to look at the British Empire through. Basically, a long thing of forcing other people to play your sports.
Yeah, that's right. And then beating them at it.
John, the league table's looking a bit thing. What about Afghanistan? Should we go and play them? Hey, they're not up to much.